Peace be upon you, dear friends of Heart Beards for Allah. Today's video will move you deeply and leave you with goosebumps. Let's take a moment to salute this brave Muslim father and daughter. What they did amidst a train full of hundreds of Hindus will truly amaze you. Without fear or hesitation, they expressed their devotion and love for their Creator, Allah, even in a situation where hostility surrounded them. Their actions were not only an expression of faith, but also an inspiration for those around them. People who initially mocked and insulted them witnessed something extraordinary. What happened on that train and how this father and daughter stood firm will all be revealed in this video. But before we proceed, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon to stay updated with every story we bring to you. At a bustling train station in India, where crowds moved about in their daily routines, a Muslim father and his 12 or 13-year-old daughter sat quietly on a bench. The girl was modestly dressed, her head covered with a scarf, and she sat with her head lowered. Beside her, the father, Muhammad Rahman, held a tasbih, prayer beads, in his hand, silently engaged in remembrance of Allah. A tired Hindu man carrying a bag approached the bench. Noticing the ample space available next to Rahman, he hesitated. Upon realizing that Rahman was a Muslim, the man scowled, wrinkled his forehead in disdain, and walked away without a word. Rahman was not surprised. He was well aware of the prejudice Muslims faced in this area. He remained calm, his focus entirely on his daughter, who kept glancing nervously at the tracks, waiting for the train to arrive so they could leave for their new city. Rahman and his daughter were forced to leave their home in a predominantly Hindu neighborhood where they had lived peacefully for years. However, things began to change when the local community started exerting pressure on Muslim families to vacate the area. Rahman, being a devout Muslim and a man of peace, had always maintained cordial relations with his neighbors. Yet prejudice and intolerance overshadowed these relationships, creating an environment of hostility and fear. The local residents filed complaints with the authorities, claiming they did not want Muslims living among them. They went to the extent of offering compensation for the houses and land of Muslim families, urging them to sell their properties and relocate to areas where other Muslims lived. Flyers and notices were circulated, making it clear that the presence of Muslims was unwelcome in the neighborhood. Despite the pressure, Rahman remained steadfast, refusing to engage in arguments or disputes. He valued peace over conflict and prioritized the safety and well-being of his family. After much contemplation and encouragement from a close friend, Rahman made the difficult decision to sell their home and move to another city where they could live without constant fear of harassment. The decision was heartbreaking, but necessary for a future of peace and security. When their train arrived, Rahman and his daughter boarded and found seats in a crowded compartment. Opposite them sat a Hindu family, and shortly after, a Hindu priest, Pandit, joined the compartment. The Pandit's expression soured when he noticed Rahman and his daughter. Wrinkling his forehead, he called out to the ticket checker and demanded to be moved to another seat. "I can't sit here," he exclaimed. However, the ticket checker informed him that the train was fully booked and there were no available seats elsewhere. The Pandit reluctantly sat down but continued to glare at the Muslim pair. He muttered loud complaints, saying, "If I had known Muslims would be here, I would have booked another train." Rahman tightened his protective embrace around his daughter, sensing the rising hostility. Amid this tense atmosphere, the young girl opened her bag and pulled out a Quran. She began to recite its verses softly, as was her daily habit, especially before offering her prayers. Her voice was calm and soothing, a stark contrast to the Pandit's growing irritation. Noticing her recitation, the Pandit became visibly angry. Out of spite, he took out a small idol and a bell, placed them on the table, and began chanting bhajans, Hindu hymns, loudly. He even invited other Hindu families in the compartment to join him in prayer, saying, "Come and seek blessings from our deity." Rahman, concerned for the sanctity of the Quran, leaned toward his daughter and whispered, "Close the Quran for now, my child. Allah knows our intentions, and we must avoid provoking them further." The girl obeyed but looked at the Pandit with a mix of disappointment and resilience. As the time for Salah approached, Muhammad Rahman became increasingly anxious. For him, prayer was not just a ritual, but a sacred obligation that he had never neglected, no matter the circumstances. Determined to find a clean and quiet spot, He began searching the train for a suitable place to pray. Approaching a train guard, Rahman humbly asked, "Excuse me, is there any space available where I can offer my prayers?" The guard, however, reacted with scorn. His demeanor changed instantly upon realizing Rahman was a Muslim. With a dismissive smirk, he said, "There's no place for prayers here. Go back to your seat and stop wandering around." Disheartened but undeterred, Rahman returned to his daughter and explained the situation. The young girl, ever resourceful, suggested using the upper sleeping berth. "It's not spacious, Baba, but it's clean enough for us to pray," she said with quiet confidence. With no other option available, Rahman agreed. The girl performed ablution and climbed onto the small berth. As she began her prayer, passengers around them turned to watch. Some appeared curious, others skeptical, but the young girl remained focused, embodying quiet devotion amidst the mounting tension in the compartment. The sight of Rahman's daughter offering her salah on the upper berth caught the attention of nearly every passenger in the compartment. Her small frame, bowed in humble submission, contrasted sharply with the tension that had filled the air moments before. The whispers began almost immediately, some curious, some judgmental. But the young girl remained steadfast, her focus unwavering as she completed her prayer. When her turn was over, she descended gracefully and returned to her seat, her calm demeanor a testament to her unshakable faith. Now it was Rahman's turn to pray. He too performed ablution and climbed onto the berth. As he began his prayer, the Pandit sitting opposite them erupted in anger. "Who gave you permission to pray here?" he shouted, his voice filled with hostility. "This is not your mosque." Rahman continued his prayer, unaffected by the Pandit's outburst. His devotion spoke louder than any words. However, the young girl, observing her father's calm response, couldn't stay silent. In a firm yet respectful tone, she replied, "The same one who allowed you to place your idol and chant your hymns gave us the right to pray here too." Her boldness silenced the Pandit, but his resentment remained. Yet the courage of this father and daughter stood as a beacon of faith and resilience for everyone watching. As the train continued its journey, the Pandit and his family were eating when the unexpected happened. The Pandit choked on a piece of food. His face turned blue, and he fell to the floor, struggling to breathe. Panic ensued as his family and other passengers tried to help. Despite their efforts, nothing seemed to work. The young girl, recalling her father's teachings, quickly took a glass of water, recited verses from the Quran over it, and offered it to the Pandit's family. Initially, they refused. "We will never take water from a Muslim's hand," they exclaimed. But as the Pandit's condition worsened, he reached out and grabbed the glass himself, desperate for relief. The Pandit drank the water and began coughing violently. To everyone's astonishment, his breathing stabilized, and his color returned to normal. "What did you recite on the water?" he asked the girl, his tone now filled with gratitude and curiosity. "I recited verses from the Quran," she replied with a smile. This miraculous event deeply impacted the passengers. Many approached Rahman and his daughter, expressing admiration for their faith and kindness. Some even asked to learn more about the Quran. By the end of the journey, 5 individuals, including the Pandit's family, embraced Islam, moved by the humility and unwavering devotion of Rahman and his daughter. This story is a testament to the transformative power of faith and compassion. It shows how staying true to one's principles can inspire change, even in the face of prejudice. Subhanallah, how a small act of kindness can lead to such profound outcomes. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Stay tuned for more incredible content.